people in our industry, if they're saying this at colleges, maybe projecting their own experiences, but it's really not the reality. Like, we can have a really successful career in this profession. There's so much available to us. But what really needs to happen is, I believe it's like two sections: strategy, which is all of the clinical work. It's like knowing what to do, like that's essential. But what also has to happen in conjunction with that is the energetic work, which is the belief systems, the mindset stuff, particularly around money. And what I find is that there's so much, like, the biggest key in money mindset is doing the work on feeling safe to receive.
Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group, where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. I am really excited because I have got the most amazing person with me today, Karlie McKeand. And Karlie does ERT. And she's a naturopath as well. And she's been in business a while now. I'm going to have to let you introduce yourself, Karlie.
Yes.
I've known you for 7 or 8 years now, possibly.
Yeah.
Like that. And I've worked with you. I've done your course. I've used your system. I've had appointments with you, and always around money mindset. So it's perfect when we think about our numbers to have you here to talk to us. So please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm Karlie McKeand. I'm a naturopath. I'm the founder of Emotion Release Technique, and I have been training practitioners in this technique for over 6 years now. As you mentioned, you're one of my practitioners, so that's amazing. But what I also do, and I've also been a practitioner, for over 10 years in a clinical setting. I still am a practitioner in clinical setting. I do mainly focus more on the ERT component now. But what I've also been doing for about 5 years is I've been mentoring practitioners with their business and money mindset. And I actually think it's one of the most important jobs that I have, because I really recognize that in our industry, there's so many blocks that get in the way of us practitioners. I believe that there's like an industry block around receiving money and actually just money itself, right? There's so many twisted sort of stories that get in the way, and it actually has a huge impact on us as practitioners, because we actually unconsciously block clients from seeing us. And so when we do not address our own mindset around money and business and our own belief systems about ourselves, the impact on our communities and us being able to help people is actually quite huge. So this is why I'm so passionate about working with practitioners, particularly around their money mindset as one part of that, because of this fact. Yeah,
it's totally huge. I mean, it's always in all of the groups on Facebook. It's always, how do I get money? This person owes me money. What do I do? It's like, and then now people are going, aren't you getting them to pay you before they see you? Haven't you got credit card details? But that wasn't always where, that's what we're hearing now. But I mean, I implemented pay before you see me a long time ago, a long time ago. And I was one of the first doing it. And it was just such a relief.
Yes.
And taking money off people is hard. And I'm always saying to people, you go to the supermarket, you buy something, very last thing that happens is you pay the checkout person for your goods as you're walking out. And back in the day, they would then say, do you want any cash with that? And you'd be like, no, thank you very much. And now we have to say, when's your next appointment? Let's take the money. See you next time. And people aren't doing that. They're going, oh, I don't want to. What if it's too much? The supplements. People budget. If they know how much it's going to cost them, then they budget for those things.
If you process the blocks within you, it's easy just to put it out on the table. So recommend what you actually recommend for them, recommend for them to come back and see you. And if they're not able to do that or do everything on your prescription, they're able to say no without you taking it personally.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I used to, when I had my own dispensary, now everything is on Araya, but I still say to them, as I did when the dispensary was in front of them, I'd put everything on the table and I'd say, these are kind of the things I want you to have, but this is not a dictatorship. So this is the most important item that I feel for right now. But the other things we can introduce if and when we want to. And it's the same with the Araya. When I do my prescription on there, I will say to them, this is the most important item. So if we can get that, the other things can wait or we can introduce them slowly. But this is like the one important item that I really need you to get. Or if they've got it, I say, okay, finish that one and then get this one.
Yes. And the more that we can process our own blocks is a word that I use, our own resistance, our own responses in our system, it's easy for us to write a prescription, like I mentioned, or it could be anything, asking for money or asking for someone to come and see us. And if we're doing the work, it's easier for that to happen without our nervous system responding and getting into that fight or flight response.
And that's it as well, isn't it? The fight or flight response is often you don't realize you're in it. You're in denial about the problem until someone says something or something is jogged in you to make you realize you have to chase up that money, or why is that person speaking to you like that? Or you're taking it all to heart and you're getting upset. And so we need this skill set that you give us in being able to acknowledge, hey, here is the problem, but pause that problem way back when, because it's always from the past, something happened in our child, their behaviors. We forget, like as parents, our parental behaviors, which I didn't know, bringing up my children, I didn't know what to say when they wanted sweets or whatever, and I didn't want to give it to them. I'd say, oh, we can't afford it. Whereas, of course, I could afford a packet of sweets, and that was not a thing. There was no problem with affording a packet of sweets. I just didn't want them to have it. And you get saying, oh, no, the sugar will rot your teeth and da-da-da-da. So you just go, I can't afford it. I haven't got the money.
But it's a programming then, isn't it?
And you're programming them because you can't think of anything else to say. So I've been brought up on that programming. My parents couldn't afford those things. They had hardship, that 4 children trying to work it all out, trying to figure out where the money goes and how it's spent. They didn't have credit cards. It was all the cash came home in the pay packet, and that was what was spent. And how was it spent to get the dinners, breakfast, lunches, and all the rest of it, all of the expenses. Whereas now you can go, okay, I've got school uniforms to buy. I'll put it on my credit card, knowing that I can pay my credit card off next month when I won't have school uniforms to buy.
This is the thing, right? These programs, these patterns from childhood, it's not even childhood. I actually think that even in our universities or our colleges, they actually are instilling these really not so helpful belief systems to us practitioners of you can't make money in the industry. It's just a hobby, which is absolutely not the case. But what happens if we actually instill those beliefs? We have those thoughts, we think that that's our reality, and our behaviors will mimic that belief system, and we're almost on the path of creating that reality. So yeah, it definitely goes back into childhood of those things, and even just general beliefs. Like fear of rejection is actually one of the biggest unconscious blocks that I see with money mindset, right? Because of not wanting someone to say no to you, not wanting someone to reject you, but we actually have to see it in a totally different light, because that's not what's happening when we're in clinical settings.
Yeah. They're not rejecting you. They are questioning what's going on. They have their own issues.
They're right to say no. Yes.
You see all that stuff on social media. A lot of it's just jealousy. These are things people are projecting about themselves onto others, like projecting that I can't afford it onto my children because I can't think of anything else to say in the situation, because I don't want to say yet again, they'll rot your teeth. So
and maybe people in our industry, if they're saying this at colleges, maybe projecting their own experiences, but it's really not the reality. Like we can have a really successful career in this profession. There's so much available to us. But what really needs to happen is, I believe it's like 2 sections. Strategy, which is all of the clinical work. It's like knowing what to do. Like that's essential. Like you do a lot of work around that and helping practitioners. But what also has to happen in conjunction with that is the energetic work, which is the belief systems, the mindset stuff, particularly around money. And what I find is that there's so much, like the biggest key in money mindset is doing the work on feeling safe to receive. And that's a pretty big concept because it means a lot of different things. But this idea of like allowing money, we'll use money for an instance, but we could use this around clients as well, but money, and without the guilt and the shame and making meaning out of it or fear of the judgment. Because the reality is, I believe that money is a byproduct from us doing our work and serving our communities. So if we can help more people and focus on that, clean up the money mindset, then we're actually having an impact and doing what we're supposed to do. But we actually there is a reward with money and having things feeling a little bit easy for us. And it can be possible.
It's totally possible. And the thing with using other modalities, because sometimes I'm saying to people, sometimes you don't need another modality. Oh my God, you've got the modality, use the modality. And
Yes.
often we're searching for another modality that we think is going to be better than the one we have.
Yes.
Need is a modality that works with the ones that we have,
Yes.
because they take our clients over that plateau or that.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what ERT can do. I used to go to a massage therapist, and she used a very similar technique to ERT to decide where on my body my blocks were.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like all therapists, her shoulders and elbows were going and all the rest of it. And so it meant that she would stop and check areas of my body. And then there would be movements, and she wouldn't necessarily, or she'd like press into that place and then wait and stop. And so she was actually lessening the trauma in her own body from massaging. And I was getting better faster because she was releasing blocks in my body. Because with ERT, we're releasing blocks everywhere. So we're releasing those money mindset blocks. We're releasing behavior blocks, habit blocks. We all have habits, but we have clients that come to us with some pretty major habits. That's why they come to us where they are. So when we think about what can we do, we don't need we think, I don't need another modality, but this one actually fits in with what we do. Like my hypnosis fits in with what I do. Get to a certain point with them in their journey, and it's like, right, we need to do other things in this journey to get you over this plateau with weight loss. And I mean, weight is a huge part of our industry, whether we want to think about it or not.
Yes.
I've spent last couple of weeks, I've been doing a couple of thyroid seminars, and one of the big take homes from that was the guy was saying there's research showing that if someone is told that their thyroid is bad and that they're unwell, their symptoms are worse than if they don't know and their bloods are the same as the person who's worse.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
They're going to have a block there about getting better because they've been given a diagnosis and they've been given the numbers on a piece of paper. Absolutely. So there's somewhere where we have to remove that block from that client, and they will have some sort of a sickness block from back way when, and that's what the ERT does. We can go back and find it for our client. And then, because we've done the ERT on ourselves, we can take the money for seeing them.
Yeah. And then we're helping them, right? That's the whole point. It's like we want to clean up the money mindset stuff. And it is one of the most essential parts in business, in any business, I believe, because there's always some sort of story, some sort of programming, some sort of situation, because it really does tie into our own belief systems about ourselves. But if you can do that, you're able to focus more on what you're supposed to do, which is serving our community and helping them. Rather than getting caught up on the money and feeling bad and guilty when that happens or when that's there, we actually limit ourselves on seeing clients, seeing more clients, putting ourselves out there, recommending someone to see us. So there's a huge ripple effect when we actually look at our numbers and notice if there's resistance, notice if there is an uncomfortable feeling, notice if there's an emotion coming up, and that gives you a clue that there's some work to do.
Yeah, and looking at numbers, looking at the bank account. I mean, whoever is listening right now, when's the last time you looked at your bank account? Do you have a scheduled time to look at your bank account, look at your numbers, to go through like your Stripe and look at all of the analytics? Do you do those things? I mean, I've got money issues in that I feel it's always going to come in. It's just going to happen. I'll be fine, right? Which means that I have a lack of looking at things because I feel the money's going to come in. So there's a good thing on one side, but there's also the forgetful on the other. So I dealt with it in a way by going, okay, the paperwork side, I struggle with that. I've got a bookkeeper. So I look at my Stripe, I look at my bank account, because I know that the hard part of deciding which bit goes where in my tax, the paperwork, I'm like, oh, please, I've got to figure out what's this year and what's next year, what's in this best statement, what's in that best statement. Oh, please let me out. That's too much for me. But I can hand those bits over and keep these other bits that I need to see on a day-to-day basis.
And it's really empowering when you actually start knowing where everything's going. And what happens is, there's a saying around where your energy goes, attention flows. And so the more that you're on top of your numbers and you're doing the work to clear any of those emotions or blocks that's coming up, you actually start to attract more of that. And the other thing that I work in, either the masterminds or some of the programs that I run, is that we actually want to clear blocks around the concept of money, because we talk about money mindset, but money means so many different things. It does mean the income coming in, but it means the bills and the outgoings and the tax and all these different, it means all those things too. So we can't just want the income and be okay with that, but then huge resistance with everything else. So we actually clean up all the responses to all the concepts of money. And so then the frequency of money is a little bit more clearer. And so then we're not responding. Our nervous system's not responding all the time to all different things, because it gets a little bit confusing. And that's where the ERT comes in. We get to assess someone's system and their individual response. We can even go back and find out exactly where that response goes back to. And then we process through the subconscious. We make that change within the nervous system, and it's incredible.
And it's really significant. I mean, from the physical, because I remember the very first time I went, because I was on your first course. I might have been on your very first course, I think.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago now. I think I just planned even. And there were big emotional blocks. Then physically, I felt better after moving those emotional blocks.
Yeah.
Then I was able to move into the next stage. And that's with the ERT training. You're moving people through stages so that they're removing some long-held beliefs and blocks. They're moving forward. They're happier in who they are and what they're doing. I got way happier after I did that, like generally, because there was a lot going on at that.
And you're working on some really deep stuff.
And the improvement is phenomenal. That's why of course, I'm like, you've got to come and talk to everybody, because I appreciated it so much. And then I've used it for clients in getting over their issues. One client in particular, she didn't want to do hypnosis. So that was kind of why I did it. I have some clients who are like, I can't do hypnosis. My priest says I can't do hypnosis. It's like, well, your priest doesn't understand, but whatever. I'm fine with that. We can do ERT. And so I did ERT with this one lady, and she was just, oh my God, that was when I was 21. That happened. Yes, that is the moment. Oh, wow. And she was able to do the things that I hadn't been able to achieve with her with hypnosis, because she was so resistant. Oh, people say I can't do hypnosis. I shouldn't do it. Did the ERT, of course, they're present in the moment. It's still the same in that they don't have to share that information with me. It can just go on in their head, which is what I like about hypnosis. I don't have to hear it all.
For sure.
Go on inside their head. And the same with the ERT. It's going on inside their head. They share the bits they need to share, but what they're actually sharing is oh, wow. That is so clear now. I can totally see where all that comes from and why that behavior is there and what I'm doing. That's phenomenal. When I used to get something similar with a massage therapist going, wow, my back is straight now.
Yeah.
Of what you've done, the pain is gone in my shoulder. But shoulder pain back, I might just go and see it.
But you know what, when a client experiences something in the appointment, that really helps them to have a little bit of hope that things are changing, a little bit more, they're a bit excited. And also I feel like they're a little bit more committed to all the other things that we recommend, because they feel that something's shifted.
Yeah. That shifting is really significant. And for us in business, because learning ART, we learn about the money mindset. We're going to learn about all of those things. But it is a useful technique for our clients. So then we make money off it. We're going to have people come to see us because we've got through our blocks. We've dealt with those, but we've also been able to use it in our business in whatever we do, nutrition, naturopathy, body work. There's all of coaches, all of the jobs can incorporate it into what they do. What I find with these other, because I have a number of other modalities, is with hypnosis, people only want hypnosis. They're like, you can cure everything. I'm going to come and see you and you're going to magic on me and I'm going to be forever better. So, no, don't worry about that. I'm like, no, you have to have a naturopathy appointment first.
Yeah.
My ERT, you have to have this all over appointment first, like an all over I'm such a nutritionist when I'm doing it anyway. So it's like this all over health appointment, lifestyle coaching appointment. Then at the very end of it, I give them a little taster of hypnosis. I give them a little taster of ERT and they're thrilled. And then the next time they come back and then I'm like, well, actually, you do need hypnosis, but you also need zinc.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't do it all with hypnosis. We still need some of these base supplements, or,
of course,
we need some of these things. So I'm able to incorporate this other system that has helped me and that I can then help others with. And it's opened my mind to being able to go, well, actually, that's, how much the bill is today. And I think since I made everyone pay before they see me, except for the focus call, of course, anyone can have one of those. But I've only had one phone call. I've only had one person ring me and go, oh, I don't really want to pay before I see you. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but that's the way it works.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I won't book in. I said, that's fine. Because my feeling is, well, you're not committed.
Yes.
You're not committed to therapy. You're not committed to working with me.
Yes.
Because you'll actually be, that was back when they'd come into my room and they'd see me.
Yes.
So it's not like online where you think, oh, maybe I'm going to be spammed, or it's a scam or something. None of that. You would have been coming into my room to see me. I've had one person in, I don't know how many years since I instigated you pay before you see me. And it makes such a difference to how you work, into accepting that money in and to understanding that background.
And I think that, like, obviously doing a lot of work with lots of different practitioners over lots of different industries, what I've noticed is, like, money is an energy, definitely. It's an energetic component, because if you were looking at a $100 note and I was looking at a $100 note and somebody else and a millionaire was looking at a $100 note, it means different to everybody. And so we have to see it as an energetic sort of amount. So we have to work through it as an energetic concept, but it really likes to flow easily.
Yeah.
When there is resistance, when there is like a clunky system, sometimes it can block it, and because that affects our mindset. So I like to think about it, when someone pays to book before they see you, the flow happens easy. You know that it's done. It really likes ease. And I've definitely seen that concept works really well with money.
Yeah.
And
people, there's a confidence thing here. And as you said earlier about, people think, oh, I can't make it in this industry. You can make it in this industry. I mean, I'm moving into retirement phase. I made it, I was doing like client-wise, everything else. I was booked out 17, 18 and 19.
Yes.
20, I slowed it down like we all did. But I was just like, oh, actually, hey, I'm at a point in my life where it's actually time to slow it down. Yes. I'm more into the mentoring and teaching, and you can make a good living. Yes. I'm still making above the Australian average. And yet I think to myself, well, that's, half of what I was earning when I was like doing this as a job, like turning up, sitting at my desk, seeing my clients one after another, and still doing the mentoring and doing all the other things. And you can totally do it.
And there's so many opportunities. It's unbelievable, but we do affect it, right? Our mindset, our belief systems about ourselves, we actually hold ourselves back. It's probably one of the biggest blocks overall I see, is that most people resist success, whatever that means, or moving forward or actually achieving their potential. And that's another thing that I work on practitioners, because when we start to address those things, address their own belief systems, address their money stuff, then they're able to start seeing those opportunities, walking into those opportunities, calling those opportunities in, promoting themselves, seeing more clients. And the flow just happens because they become knowing that they are here to help and it's going to work for them.
Yeah, we're often in our own way, aren't we?
Yes.
Totally in our own way. We can't get out of our own way. The blocks are there because of ourselves.
And this is why I believe it's just as important as learning and committing to our clinical work and learning. We have to be doing the work on ourselves as well. And this is why I actually include 3 months mastermind in, and like that's a weekly call with me every week for 3 months, because I believe that it has to be in conjunction as well as learning the ERT process, which again, you learn it to be able to use on yourself as well, which is pretty cool. That's why I actually have it as a bonus.
Totally. It's like you learn something, and then if you're thrown out to the wolves, which is pretty much what happens in college, you learn it, then they say you can't work for 3 weeks while you wait or 3 months, whatever, while you wait for your certificate to come through, at which point you're meant to have your holiday. And your certificate comes through, but then you look around and there's nobody there. Whereas with the ERT and working with me as well, it's like there's somebody there. You've got the certificate, but you don't look over your shoulder and see an empty room or a space or I've got to do this alone. Instead, you look over your shoulder and you go, oh, Karlie, there are the people who are going to support me to introduce this. So I can go, oh, I had this client, it didn't really work out very well. What did I do? How can I get them back? How can I fix it up? Or I've got this client coming in, I've got no clue. And then, and you've got these people who are there for you to go, well, let's.
It is the fastest way to move ahead. There's no denying that. We need to be supported. All of us do. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, by having, what you said there, and that strategy side covered and the energetic side and working on the beliefs, it honestly fast tracks everything. And not just business, but your whole world changes.
I think we should leave it there because your whole world does change
Yes.
when you're getting the support you need, when you've got these modalities. You do trainings, twice a year, 3 times a year?
4 times a year at this stage, yeah. So every 3 months I do a training and my mastermind's running consistently. I usually do a program once a month as well. So lots of things happening in the EIT world.
Yeah, lots and lots of opportunities. So Karlie's links and everything up below, so you can snatch those up and get in contact with her anytime. And whatever you're doing, massage, coaching, naturopathy, nutrition, you work with them all because you know how to get these things to work for those practitioners, for themselves, for their own inner selves, but then for their clients as well, and get their clients over that, what I always think of as a plateau, because clients plateau. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. There's a subconscious response in everything that we do. Yes, exactly. And you're right. It's the modality that also just enhances the modality that you currently have. So yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely. Totally useful.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Great to have you. I look forward to catching up with you really soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.